On today's Ukrainian Experiences interview, I'm actually with three men who were able to leave Ukraine shortly after the Putin-Russian invasion: Den, Jazz, and George, all of whom are mindfulness teachers and or therapists from Ukraine, sharing how they're utilizing mindfulness and mental health practices to their own benefit during this time, while also continuing to serve other Ukrainians in need. We will also be sharing a part 2 of this interview focusing on Ukrainian men's health amid orders preventing them from leaving the country during this time of war. It's around 7 p.m. Eastern European Standard Time on Friday, March 4th.
I was able to check in with him and give him some information about our radio show, What and Reason, here in Washington, D.C. We focus on mental health and wellness subject matter and typically actually invite experts in their field to help educate our listeners. And we have a really unique opportunity with you three during our Ukrainian Experiences series, where you can speak to your experiences there in Ukraine, and then also speak to your specialty as mindfulness, would you say like mindfulness practitioners or teachers?
Mindfulness teachers, yeah.
Teachers, okay.
But yeah, and George
I'm a psychotherapist and a mindfulness teacher, but I've recently realized that I've started using mindfulness techniques myself after visiting a couple of seminars. I'm using it in my practice now.
Okay. Yeah, so it would be helpful for me to learn a little bit more about your professional backgrounds and various identities that are important to you, the roles in your life that are important to you. And then we can continue on in our discussion of what it's been like for you in Ukraine, and in particular your experiences in regards to your professional backgrounds, like how you're navigating that as professionals as well. And so starting off with you, George, then.
My full name is George Tarayan. I'm half Armenian, half Russian, actually. My mother's side is Russian, my father's side is Armenian, but I've been living in Ukraine my whole life. I consider myself a Ukrainian. So yeah, for like 16 years, I've been an English teacher. And recently, for almost 2 years, I've been studying and practicing as a psychotherapist here in Ukraine. And very recently, I've started practicing as a neuropsychologist with children. It's my nearest, like, maybe a couple of months I've just started. So, yeah.
Where were you studying psychotherapy and neuropsychology?
Well, it's a little bit different from US. It's not licensed, so you don't need to have a license. On one hand, it's an easy entry. On the other hand, it's an easy entry. So a lot of people go pursue this career for different benefits. Well, the more psychologists, the better, I think. There is a center, actually, my psychotherapist, I've been going to a psychotherapist, into psychotherapy for about 5 years. And 2 years ago, I've started working and studying within the center of my psychotherapist. She has her own center. She's a director of a center, and she has a lot of experience with children with autism, and with a lot of different subjects. So she started teaching. She had her hands freer with more specialists in her center. So she started teaching, which makes me very, very happy. I feel very lucky because she has a lot of practical experience in her life. So she has a lot to share. So that's what I'm studying and working at the moment. Well, used to.
What an amazing opportunity. Yeah. Where's her center?
It's in Kiev. It's in the northern part of Kiev. Okay. So yeah, it's on the base of the children's kindergarten.
Okay, so since Putin Russian invasion, has the center been closed, or how have they been managing that?
Unfortunately, it has been closed, and well, she's a very, I don't know, popular specialist, so I can only imagine how much she has to handle, how many people turn to her support and advice and so on. So yeah, unfortunately the center's been closed, and as far as I know, she doesn't have too many sessions herself because she has to recover. That's what I'm learning now, that the more you work, the more you have to recover. I've been asleep like until 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
Good
yeah.
for you. I'm glad you're getting your rest. And for you, as a psychotherapist and now working as a neuropsychologist, I mean, have you continued to work during this time, or how have you been navigating?
Well, actually, working helps a lot. I'm not going the days I work the most, I feel most sane. So especially, for example, today I've had like 2 or 3 clients in a row, plus a meeting of the volunteers. So it's all volunteer organizations. I've joined 2 or 3 organizations, and they've been sending clients to me. It could be like text session or audio session, video session, something like that. But all the clients that I have been working with before, they have stopped. They have either fled Kiev or relocated in some other way. So at the moment, it's just voluntary work for me.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible, and I'm curious about how you're managing your own self-care, but I think I'll save that one for the whole group, because I'm sure that's something you are all mindful of at this moment. Thank you, George. And
Sure.
Jazz, how about you? Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, first of all, thanks, Dan, for inviting me to this meeting. My full name is Zhassulan Abishev. Jazz is just a short name. Originally from Kazakhstan, Almaty. So I'm a Kazakh, but I consider myself Ukrainian as well, even though I'm a citizen of Kazakhstan. I am. My wife, she's Ukrainian. My daughter, she's Ukrainian. All my family is are Ukrainians, and I've been living 15 years already in Ukraine. And yeah, so I traveled a lot before that. So I stayed for some time in the US. I used to live in Moscow for some time, many years ago. But basically my city where I lived is Lviv. Why I'm saying lived? Because I'm a refugee. So I'm in Berlin now. So heading to Italy, because we have grandmother of my wife who lives there. So we'll stay for some time there while this war is happening. And I'm lucky because I'm a citizen of Kazakhstan, so I was able to leave the country because male citizens of Ukraine cannot do it. And me, my wife, my daughter, and my mother of my wife, and my old dog, we all decided to go to our grandmother's house. So background, yeah, I'm a mindfulness trainer. I'm a certified MBSR teacher, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction program, well known. I guess you know that. And I'm a senior trainer in Mindful Academy Sol Terreno, which is in Spain. It's an international center where we train the trainers. So my main activity is to train the trainers, qualified MBSR teachers. And of course, it's my professional field, and I love my work, my job. I'm a practitioner. I share this very useful, very helpful, it's not just only tool, but approach and lifestyle, I would say. And before becoming mindfulness trainer, I did some research, and it was my personal pain. First of all, I faced the depression and all this existential crisis back in the days, and at some point I decided to study. I started to question myself, what is it, why I'm suffering, so how can I help myself, any tools, anything can help me. And this questions brought me to Leiden Research Institute for Rational Monotheism, which is in Netherlands. And at some point I started to do some experimentation. So psychology on personal practice, practical philosophy, and of course, different kind of introspectual technologies, so-called meditations. And then I had chance to travel around Asia some years and dived into different kind of spiritual practice, as we call them. So Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism. So I did some actually many retreats, silent retreats, initiations. So it's Vipassana, Zen Buddhism in Japan, Tai Chi, Tai Chi Chuan in China, some kind of yoga in Gurdjieff, mindful movements in India. So different kind of practices. So main idea was to find what is a practical thing and what is a common thing in all these technologies, so-called technologies. So then I faced the simple, as we call, simple secular and science-based tool and approach, mindfulness. So I started to learn, and then I graduated from Mindful Academy Soltereno, became mindfulness teacher, MBSR teacher. I started to share this program. It was something new 6 years ago, especially in Ukraine, especially in Russian-speaking countries. And after some time of teaching, we decided to run and conduct big project with the teacher trainings. So on behalf of Mindful Academy Soltereno, we decided to teach the trainers. And that's how we brought mindfulness on this kind of scale to our countries. Sorry?
That's really incredible, your journey and study and experience all over the world, and bringing it together to, would you say primarily bring it to Russia and Ukraine?
Well, first of all, to Ukraine, because my location, I was living in Lviv, mainly when COVID happened, everything went online, so no borders actually. And we run project in Russia as well. Our main audience are psychotherapists, coaches, yoga trainers, and all these people who are helping others. We had big groups from all around the world, and we had trainings in English and in Russian language. And of course, we saw what is happening on political level, and it was very not helpful to our project, of course. And a lot of restrictions, a lot of barriers, but still we were focusing on this humanity, first of all. And this what really needs nowadays is and kindness and compassion. And it can be trained individually, first of all. So this is the main mission that we do, is sharing this kindness and compassion and this humanity. We're all people, we're all human. We share this common humanity. Why do we have to fight each other? But war happened. This is reality. And there are some attackers. There are some people who want to defend their homes and families. And of course, it's a very difficult situation, very tough times. And all we can do, we can share mindfulness, we can share awareness, we can share compassion and kindness in order, first of all, to help to give opportunity people to take care of themselves, first of all, and share it with others, of course.
How are you navigating things these days since the invasion? How has that impacted your day-to-day work?
It's very difficult now for our project, because even it's hardly, now we can communicate, but at some point it will, this communication channels will be also closed at some point, especially with people who are in Russia, right? but mainly people who are in Ukraine, they really need this support. What we do, we're launching this project with mindfulness individual consultation. We have team of trainers, and we want to give opportunity to everyone who are suffering now, who are feeling this pain, anxiety, and fear and stress, and they really need the support from professionals like us, who can give a support, who can give some tools and techniques in order to reduce stress and take care of themselves. Of course, it's free. Of course, it's volunteer. It's just open. We are open to help everyone.
I definitely want to get some more details for our listeners who are primarily in the States, but given the subject matter, I think we might be able to reach out to more people internationally, so that way they could access the services that you're offering. And Den, would you mind introducing yourself as well?
My name is Denis Bortnikov, or just short Den. I'm Ukrainian and I'm from Lviv. I mean, I was born in Lviv, and then in my 20s, I moved to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. But now I'm back to Lviv also as a refugee, but I'm at least at my hometown. Before the war, I was working as an NGO activist, NGO worker, with main fields such as social entrepreneurship, youth development, crowdfunding, and also I started my mindfulness practice. I mean, as a teacher just a few months ago, and actually Jas is my coach, is my teacher, and it's a pleasure that you can join us today. And actually, I was in the middle of my first NBSR course for my first group when war was happened.
What was that like for you when you were meeting with your first group?
It was online course, and now it mostly online because of COVID, and because it's just easier and more people can participate. And in my group, it were people from all of Ukraine. It was from west, from east, from north, like all of the part of Ukrainian. I in touch with my group, and I try to support them. And also when I was finally in a safe place after I escaped the war in Kyiv on the second day of the events, I created a channel, like online channel for support for everyone, not just for my group, for my course, and just try to share very simple practices. For mindfulness field that can help to people to cope with all of this tragedy, stress, and trauma. Actually, also.
Where do you create these channels? On what platform?
It's a Telegram. Telegram. It's a most popular platform here for now. But also, I have some Instagram account. Telegram just more flexible, so I can share not just some text, not just some message, but I also can post some audio files, and people can listen some practices, in time when can do things like that, because now it's very uncertain. It's not like, oh, we can meet at this time and have online session. Like, no, because it could be, sirens. It could be attack. Actually, we with George woke up on the second morning, woke up because of explosion of the Russian aircraft that was attacked just it's very, very it was
just
at
outside
least,
our window.
Yeah, just outside.
So we woke
window,
up because of
was
the sound and the visual
sound of explosion, and yeah, so you never know what can happen
Right.
now, next. So this channel, I guess, very helpful because people can listen or read practices in comfortable time, and when they have opportunity and to be online. And also I do some streams that also can share with sharing some practices.
That's amazing. And we'll make sure to have links to all of your resources on our webpage too, so people
Yeah, sure.
access it and connect
Yeah,
with you.
sure, we will share.
I'm really curious how the three of you have been processing the events that have occurred, violence and bombings to all of these innocent people, especially if you have ties to Russia. Like, what is it like for you to be experiencing this? Have you been making sense of it all? Let's start with you, George.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the answer from my head, and I understand that I'm still processing, and partially I'm still in denial. Maybe because I also fled on the third or fourth day. I'm 15 kilometers from Kiev in my parents' cottage house, so I can sometimes see and hear the events in Kiev, but it's like a different reality for me. So that's one thing. And maybe this is one of the reasons I want to go back to be in reality, to like meet with this reality and maybe help more physically, or I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not good with firearms. I'm not a trained military person, so I have no prior experience. I might be a nuisance more than help. So this is why I feel more comfortable and more useful where I am and doing what I'm doing. On one hand, on the other hand, I do have relatives, the family of my aunt. It's my father's sister, blood relative. She and her three sons, and so it's quite a big family. They all are in Russia, and they all are, unfortunately, I've spoken to her. They all are quite brainwashed. They don't realize what's happening. They think that we have nationalists raiding this place, and it's all with like Ukraine fighting with Ukraine, and it's like very difficult for them to realize that it's not. So it's another piece of work that needs to be done, I guess. But they're very cautious. They're very like, they don't want to contact with us too much. Well, that's my perspective. That's my point of view. I don't know about other people, but yeah. I also have some colleagues from Russia, some English teachers and psychotherapists, and well, from the words of one of them, she said, I'm frozen inside out, because not doing anything is devastating. But like, even if she has a huge on Facebook, she has more than 15,000 followers. And she said that if I do something, if I post something about Ukraine, it's 20 years incarceration for the disloyalty to the country. So she's like, I'm not sure what I am afraid of more, dying, or if you go to a meeting, you're incarcerated, if you post anything. So it's like, I don't have words for this, to be honest. So yeah, it's basically, I'm still processing, and each day I have a mental roller coaster. I wake up and I don't know, is it going to be a good day or a bad day? So today is a good day. I'm capable of doing a lot of work, physical and social work. But what's it going to be tomorrow? I have no idea, and I'm not even planning anymore. I'm just going to bed. I need some rest, and I'll see tomorrow what tomorrow brings. So that's my plan for now.
That's understandable. I can imagine that the experience of trying to connect with your Russian family members who are, as you put it, like brainwashed, how that must emotionally feel for you when you're observing it directly, and they're denying the realities of this war.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. It's like my father is contacting with them more at the moment. I was there during the initial meeting, but I realized that this is more than I can handle in terms of, I cannot turn something that they've been fed a lot of information for years, and just in one meeting, especially when they're not really willing to abandon their beliefs. Well, it's a protective, a coping mechanism, yeah, of the psyche. So I understand that, but I also understand that I'm not at the moment, I'm not in resource enough to help them with their processes if they don't want to be helped. So yeah, I want to help those who want to be helped, who help themselves.
That's very fair, and I think that's an extra challenging part for us to practice psychotherapy, is that we can intellectually understand and are acutely aware of what's happening, especially when it comes to denial and defense mechanisms and coping strategies. And emotionally, since we're intimately connected with these people who are struggling to see the realities as they are, it's difficult. It could be very disappointing, and very frustrating that we have all these skills to help others, and yet we can't even connect to and help our own family at times.
Absolutely.
And so I empathize with that, George. I'm sorry that
Thank you.
you're experiencing that, but it sounds like it's a great strategy for you to focus your energy on people.
Yeah, I've never thought that my range of emotion is so wide that I can feel so much at the same time, so much negative and positive at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then did you want to add something, Jess?
Yeah, it resonates what George's saying. A lot of things are resonating. It's this inner state of it's rich experience. It's full of different emotions, feelings, and mixed emotions. And it's this whole situation, this all what is happening is full uncertainty, total uncertainty. And if I'm talking about my yeah, it's still again processing, and of course what I'm observing, what's inside and outside. There's a choice to take care of what's going on inside first, and of course there's a big compassion towards others. So this willingness to help others, and as George said, it's difficult to help people who are not willing to accept this help, and there's no sense in this case. And I totally understand what he's saying about people who are sitting there in Russia, and we did this project in Russia and Ukraine since how many 3 years already, and my field of contacts and network, these people are more or less are connected with reality. Their perception is about seeking this truth, this reality, to connect with this, what really happening. It's not and developing themselves in order to grow, in order to expand, in order to see things as they truly are. Working with their barriers and illusions and so on. But it's very hard when this world around you is showing you another reality, right? And this brainwashing, of course, we see it, and of course it's still there. It's in every one of us, especially in my business partner in Russia. She's sitting in Moscow. She's a Buddhist, and she's saying she's feeling a lot of pain there and suffering, and observing what's going on there, what's going on in Ukraine. And this, what we need all to connect with our compassionate human being inside of us, in order to just be human and not be political, and not to choose black and white. It's just being human. So this is the main intention, what we're trying to bring through mindfulness. And of course, mindfulness helps a lot in my case. And I spent a lot of years of doing study and practicing different kind of meditations. And mindfulness is a very powerful tool that allows to see things more clearly, to see as they are, to work with your perception. I mean, in order to see reality as it is. And it's very hard when you see different positions, different this informational war, and people who are having their own illusion, own reality, and it's okay. I mean, it's totally okay. It's their responsibility, but at the same time, this compassion needs to be delivered to people. Just allowing them to connect with this compassion. Maybe this human being inside will be in charge, rather than all this information that people are getting from outside and taking it as their own. And this is really big job, really hard work, and what I see, and myself, it's when I was sitting in my comfort zone, doing work. I have a plan, I have a big schedule for 1 year, and we're sitting even in these COVID times, and all the sessions and supervisions that I do, and individual and MBSR courses. At some point, it's changed everything again. First time it was COVID, and then second time it's war. And what should I do? I cannot resist to what is happening. And to accept it, it takes time. It needs to be processed. We're all human beings. We're all, we still all have these defensive mechanisms. And mindfulness really helps, And personally, I see it because we decided it was a hard decision to leave house. We were standing 46 hours in the border, in the car, with my dog, old dog, and my child who is 7 years, and without knowing when we're going to cross this border. So many refugees, and now maybe it's better. I don't know what's happening there, but a lot of refugees here. I see different reality here, sitting in Berlin, because it's quiet. It's no war here.
Right.
At the same time, I read a lot of news. I see, communicate with others who are in Ukraine. So painful. People are dying there. People are shooting to other people. And I'm here. I see different picture. And this is very, overwhelming. You have to process all that stuff. But at the same time, we see that the world is waking up. And a lot of support from people, a lot of support from German, Polish. This is a good thing of the war. It's people are waking up, and they feeling this unity. They're supporting. They feel compassion more, connection more. So this is also needs to be aware from. I mean, this is also happening. It's not only suffering. And this I think, must be delivered and expanded and more in a more active way. Of course, after when the conflict, I don't know. I just don't want to go there to the future, but the reality is very hard now, and it's hard to process. But when you have space within this ability, this field of awareness, you can process it much easier. So that's what I'm doing.
Thank you so much for sharing all that, Jas. And I really appreciate how you defined the benefits of mindfulness, especially during a time like this, when there is so much unfortunate confusion about what reality actually is, and how mindfulness allows people to be aware of the realities, and also has that aspect of radical acceptance with it. Not agreeing with how things are going, but first accepting it, so that way we can know how to navigate these realities.
Yeah, first of all, accepting your own emotions or own feelings and taking care of them. It's not about accepting the war, what's happening. It's about really accepting your own feelings, first of all, physical sensations, and this your state of, and choosing to take care of your own state of being. Because if you are not in a resource state of being, you cannot help others, and people can easily forget that. And I can see that they just forget it, especially nowadays when I see practitioners, they say, I cannot practice, I need to take care of others. And it's tricky moment, because you're not taking care of yourself if you're not practicing. and you cannot be resourceful and you cannot share that. Of course, there is a willingness to help others, but first of all, as we know, when you are flying in the airplane, they say just wear the mask and then you wear a mask to your child. This is simply can really save your life and others. So that's why we are all need to take care of ourselves, even if it's hard, even it's there is no time. As Dan said, this is can be self-regulated when you just share recorded audio meditation. They can just easily sit there in offline mode, even without electricity, just providing the space to take care and take coming back to this more or less balanced psycho-emotional state of being, and then just share it.
Thank you, Jess.
From DC Radio, this is Wit and Reason, and I'm Dr. Alexis. Please visit witandreason.com/DC Radio to access the links Den, George, and Jazz shared with us and the second portion of this interview, focusing on Ukrainian men's health amid the Ukraine order banning able-bodied males 18 to 60 from leaving the country. You may also access both of the interviews at soundcloud.com/DCRadioHD. You can now subscribe to Wit and Reason on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Google Podcast, along with Apple Podcast and YouTube. You can also follow us on social media at Wit and Reason. We'll be sharing more interviews with Ukrainians who are determined to connect with you and to share how you can help and support. Let's keep the conversation going.